Good morning, church. Thanks to Boyce for reading our gospel lesson for this morning. If it sounded a little different to your ears, that's because it was from The Message by Eugene Peterson. The line I will be focusing on this morning is this: if you love me, show it by doing what I have told you. That's quite a challenge and also a daily opportunity. Believe it or not, this is our 10th week with our stay-at-home orders, and everything but essential services and essential stores have been closed. States are now beginning to open back up. What was closed is now beginning to open back up. But this church has never closed because you can't stop or close up love. Jesus said, "If you love me, show it by doing what I have told you." Pandemic or no pandemic, loving others has not stopped. In fact, it has increased. In many ways, through these past 10 weeks, I have heard story upon story of people being more kind, more loving, more generous, more open-hearted. Not always and not all people, but the vast majority have been more loving, more caring, more compassionate, neighbor looking out for neighbor. I know that we all agree that this is what Jesus wanted and desires and needs us to continue to do. As we open back up, loving others and being kind to people will be more important than ever. We will all have to be more understanding and often offer even more empathy. And we do all this, we do it because Jesus asks us, calls us to always lead with love. But we, brothers and sisters, have been well schooled in love, well schooled in loving our neighbor, in compassion, in sacrificing for others. It will be easy for us to wear masks because we know that it will help protect our neighbor. Wearing a mask is a loving deed. I'm reminded of what we said a few years ago, WWJD, what would Jesus do? I think Jesus would wear a mask, especially to protect the most vulnerable among us. Jesus taught us, if you love me, show it by doing what I've told you. I think it's interesting that Jesus begins by saying, if you love me. We forget sometimes that it's not enough to just say, I love Jesus. The important part is living that love. The important part is the manifestation of the love of Jesus in all that we do and say. I think Jesus is saying here, love makes all the difference. Remember what Jesus taught in his earlier ministry. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. This I command you, to love one another. Jesus made a difference with his love, and Jesus wants us to continue making a difference, sharing his love. I invited people on our Facebook page to share ways they were following this call to love from Jesus and how they were showing love or how love had been shown to them. Faye Gray shared how one day she heard a noise in her yard and saw a neighbor cutting her grass. Later, she learned that her neighbors had come together and put together a schedule to mow her grass for the rest of the summer. Love shown. Faye had a friend who called her one day and asked her the address of North Riverdale, the church, so that she can make a donation to our food pantry, which she did. Love shown. Harold and Carol Croup had a neighbor in need, and they teamed up with 2 mowers and mowed his 3-acre lot. Love shown. Charlie and RJ were having some down days, and her grandson and his girlfriend dropped off some beautiful yellow tulips on their doorstep. It brightened their day. Love shown. They then paid that love forward by making batches of butterscotch brownies and chocolate chip cookies, and they drove them around to their neighbors and their friends' homes and left a little love on someone's front porch. Love shown. I know many of you are making phone calls and sending notes and cheerful messages to each other. I'm proud of our congregation for the many ways that you are letting others know that they matter and letting them know that someone cares. Love shown. Chris and I have been humbled by the love that you have shown us these past months. Our front porch and mailbox has been full of your care and love and concern. Thank you. Linda Patton reminded me, it's the second part of that great commandment, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, that becomes the love in action. And it's the toughest because we are dealing with people, not just the ones we like, but with all people. Yes, we are called to love all people. And as we open back up, this will become more difficult. We have been practicing social distancing love well. But now we have to get a little closer, although maintaining that 6-foot distance. But we will not just meet the challenge that Jesus gives us, we will lead the way. Lead the way with love. Jesus invites you to show others the way of love. We've got this. Let's do it. Amen.